This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, everyone. This is episode 4 of Too Old to Game. I am your fear-filled host, Dave Oster.
Fear-filled host, Dave Oster.
I'm not joined by Mark Weber. We can't dub those E's this week. He's busy being an adult. But I do have the original man-child himself.
What's up, what's up?
Ricky Widmer.
Thank you.
Joining us today.
For a second, I was like, do I wait until he says, because usually I wait until after the name. But then you pause,
I want to mix it up.
Well,
I'm throwing you curveballs from this side of the table.
And I'm not going to do what like Sean usually does, where it's like, oh, Mark's not here, we're going to dub them E's. No, we don't dub them E's this week, because Mark ditched us today. He ditched us for his wife, which part of me understands, but the other part of me is like, ooh, Mr. Laddie-da and his wife.
This show is my wife.
Basically.
I know, that's your answer to everything. But no, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Fortnite being a potential, professional gaming scene.
It ain't going away.
Coming around that. We're going to talk a little bit about Madden officially releasing their continued Longshot mode.
Yep. Longshot Homecoming.
Longshot Homecoming. Sounds interesting. We'll see where that's going to go. And we're going to wrap things up talking a bit about game reviewers and is it necessary to actually watch a whole or to play through the whole game before reviewing it? Because are you really getting the whole picture? But before we get too deep into things, I do want to give you a little bit of housekeeping. If you love us, you can support us in so many ways. First off, the easy one, iTunes. 5-star that shit. Helps us and give us feedback. Let us know what you want to hear from us. Let us know if you don't like what we're doing. We'll change it up. We listen to you guys. We love it.
We do.
You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave comments down below. But if you want to go above and beyond, you can be part of Patreon. You can join us on these shows. You can be part of the conversation even more so.
And you know what you get to do for this podcast?
What do you get to do?
They can say first. They can say first. We've never had one on Too Old to Game.
It's true. We are looking for our first victim. I mean Patreon to join us. But that's all. You can go there. You can join that. You can get T-shirts. There's so much stuff to do if you want to support us. And we love your support.
I mean, Mr. Model over here.
I am Mr. Model. I'm not wearing the shirt today. I feel bad, but I'll wear it next time.
Mr. Professional with his polo.
Yeah, you got to come from work. And yeah, I look like I came from like a golf course, so screw you.
Pretty much.
But no, let's get down to business, boys. We're talking Fortnite. We're talking the biggest game in the world right now, the quickest growing game. It hasn't even hit its 1-year mark,
Next Wednesday will be the birthday, basically. It came out July 25th, 2017. Has already surpassed $1 billion.
Yikes.
$1 billion, and it's not even a year old. It's technically a year old, but technically it's not a year old.
Yeah, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. This game has grown so fast, and it's done everything right. It's got the free-to-play down, easy, accessible for kids of all ages.
Kids, everyone can download it.
Super friendly. But one of the things that they tried to make their first big leap into was competitive gaming, esports. Can this be an esport? Can you build an esport around a non-team game, which will be interesting? You know, there's the... StarCraft was basically the OG of esports for those of you who are not old enough to remember StarCraft. And then Brood War came along, tons of fun. The scene in Korea was insane. US, Europe, everybody was getting in. Counter-Strike 1.6, then Counter-Strike Go. Then, of course, obviously World of Warcraft with its PvP for a bit was big. Transitioning into the days of MOBAs, where League of Legends, Dota, and all those kind of games are even Heroes of the Storm now, and Overwatch League. So we're seeing the growth and the evolution of esports here. And do you see where Fortnite could go as an esport? Because it's got a unique take. It's a battleground.
I can and I can't. Like, I can because part of me wants to say, yes, anything can be turned into the competitive style. But the thing that I sit back and I look at is most of the things where we're at right now is when you look at, now I'm going to use Overwatch League as my example because that's the main one that I watch.
Sure.
We have a stage that we're looking at. We have announcers. We've got Team A, Team B. All you got to do is focus on the gameplay, and then, they switch around camera to camera.
Yeah.
But it's 6 on this side, 6 on that side, a total 12. If you have an Overwatch, let's take duos, push to the side. Let's take squads, push it to the side. If I'm doing singles, 100 people, like, I know they did that charity thing where basically Ninja, and I can't remember who else he was with, some celebrity. They did that, and it looked massive, but it's like, if you're going to do that on a broadcast scale, how do you make that work having 100 people on a stage at one time playing a game?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be super tough to manage because that's the thing. When people think, yes, it's an amazing game, amazing game doesn't translate to amazing esport.
Yeah.
You need to have the ability to have viewers engage and them to be able to see everything going on, because if they can't see what's going on, they're not going to be enjoying what they're watching. Like with a game with 100 different people playing, it's going to be incredibly hard to track the action. As time goes on and people kill each other off, yes, you can focus more on like specific players.
Well, I would say early on you can kind of focus on, really the hard thing is jumping right out of the bus, where it's like, all right, where do we focus on? And then kind of figure, as soon as you figure out where most people are going, all right, we'll just find the action and switch the capture cams to wherever the action is. But it kind of goes into also with having 100 players, like if I die right away, because there's a lot of people that just die really quickly right off the bat in that game. Exactly. It's
or
like
unlucky.
Overwatch, StarCraft, CSGO. It's basically, it wasn't like none of those games, except for maybe Counter-Strike in a sense too.
But Counter-Strike is round-based.
But it's that team too. Where it's most of the games like Overwatch and StarCraft aren't like, I'm dead, I'm out.
Right. No, it's totally different. So with Counter-Strike, it's, you play, I think it is rounds, and you go up to, I forget the number, if it was like, you play up to 15, you switch sides partway through, and you keep going. But it's been a while since I watched Counter-Strike, to be honest. But point being, like,
and when you say switch sides, like terrorist to counter-terrorist.
And map as well.
Okay.
They change up multiple things. So I think the one thing to keep in mind with what Epic can do with this is, like, if they want to do the single player versus if they want to do squads or the 50 versus 50, like, they've got a couple game modes they're experimenting with now. So I don't know. I think probably squads is the best way to go as far as a competitive game is concerned.
Do you think for competitive, and I'm going to bring in Call of Duty here because I heard something this week that Call of Duty is thinking about, like, they said for sure, like, oh, it's going to be 100 people. Yeah. But there's a possibility that their Battlegrounds mode could be like 60. Do we see just for competitive where it's like, all right, we don't have 100 people. It's more like for the competitive style, if we go singles, it's 50 people instead of 100. And they kind of scale down where it's like the only time we see 100 is basically, all right, we're going to do squads of 4. So then you can divvy it up and it's, you still have 100 people, but they're sectioned off into groups of 4.
Yeah, I think that is what fits what has been successful in the past. That's taking the recipe for success and formatting it for your game. I think that the solo gameplay is so hard from Fortnite to follow because there's just so many different people, and as a esports fan from a couple different scenes, like it's easy to get attached to one or two people, and if they drop or they die early, the rest of that round, I don't know how invested I'm going to be in watching these random guys play, but it's just easier to track a squad. It's easier to follow them. And with the amount of creativity and flexibility that Fortnite provides players, like the squad-based player, you get a ton of creative, cool stuff going on. You get amazing team plays, the way things line up. So I think squad play is definitely the way they should go. They recently did have a tournament, though, and it bombed horribly. Mostly, it was just to give you guys some info. Last weekend, they kicked off $8 million summer skirmish series. Basically huge tournament, top players, content creators, but apparently network latency they didn't account for. Everyone was lagging. Everyone was playing super safe. Instead of 10 games, it was 4 games. Things went terribly, but that's okay. This is your early days. This is the baby steps.
The beginning's usually not the best.
No, and I can tell you, as someone who watched the league scene start from nothing, and I remember the early days before it was like guys in their basements casting games, and it was less than fantastic. There were so many pauses, there were so many stoppages because of issues, and like it has come so far in such short time. I don't think that Epic should be afraid. I think this is like, look, we're doing our first thing. We're going to get it out there. We're going to see how it plays. We're going to see how people react to it because the interest is there. People want more Fortnite.
Well, and that's the thing. With Fortnite, I don't see the popularity taking a dip anytime soon to where, like I said, we're almost to a year, and it's so popular to where wherever you go, especially with kids, Like you and I, when we went to Six Flags.
Yep.
And we were there, we were riding lines. Every kid we saw, you're like, oh, there's another one doing the Fortnite dance.
Yeah.
There's another one just jamming out to that Fortnite dance. And it's like, it's sweeping the nation. And it's kind of like Mark said last week, where he's like, his wife being a teacher, she's like, what's Fortnite? He goes, just listen to your students. Just listen to them. She's like,
They're
oh my
talking.
God, that's all they talk about. And it's like, yeah, that's all they talk about. The thing that I'm most interested from, if Fortnite can get the competitive thing figured out, the thing I'm most interested about is, and I'm going to compare it to what we usually talk in our sports realm of things, where CSGO, Overwatch, that's more of your like NFL, where it's team-based, it's owner-based, whereas Fortnite could be very NBA style of like, it's not teams that are popular. Like for Overwatch, it's fuel and this and that, and it's not many people know the individual players.
Right.
Where Fortnite's basically going to be like, it could turn into not teams, but individual players that are on the pedestal and get the popularity.
Yeah, no, it's entirely like I see exactly where you're going with that, because you're right. The personnel is what made Fortnite explode. On top of the like ease to access, it's really the guys like Ninja at the top of the game who are propping the game up and bring it to higher heights than it would have gotten on its own. So I'd like to think that's the same, but I know where money comes from, and I know sponsorship. Like they're going to have investors. They're going to have people who want to get their hands in on this stuff, especially early on.
And it all depends on what individuals, like how many individuals out of that 100 that are in matches. And let's be honest, just because you have a match of 100 doesn't mean there's not going to be more than that.
That's the thing.
In the league or in the
That's the thing. Like, are you going to be like, we were doing our tryouts, it's these 100 people, we're locked in for a season, or we're locked in for a match system for like a 2-week period,
there would have to be
3-week
some
period.
Qualification or
and that's the thing, because
thing.
people, you got to remember, the people who are famous, the people who are playing this game are on Twitch, so there's a ton of people following them. But at the same time, are they also setting the best example for players? Because we've seen discipline tossed out for people in Overwatch. We've seen it tossed out for League of Legends players when they say things that they really shouldn't be saying, when they're talking about shit that's just inappropriate or controversial.
Like, oh man, I can't even. Wasn't it one in the Overwatch League where it's like something happened and he just flicked off the camera or something?
Yeah, and
just gave him the bird.
Fine. Like that's the thing with Fortnite. You really have, unless they're gonna have 100-person arena, but maybe they'll do that for something. Yeah. For like big things, like they'll actually have a gathering. But that's one of the perks is like, if they get the server situations figured out where they can have a stable server with all these people connected, all this content going, being streamed, being flipped through by multiple cameras, all of that going and stable, like you don't need to have everyone on site there. Yes, you'd love to see like player cameras for the famous people like Ninja and those among the top streamers, because that's what will help drive the product more. But at the same time, like you don't need them on stage like you do necessarily for every week, like Overwatch, Here's a Storm, League of Legends, those kind of games where it really adds something to have them there playing 20 feet across from each other. Even the fighting games when they're on stage, I love that because they're fighting, they're intense, they're going at it. Marvel vs. Capcom, some of the Street Fighter stuff, like there's something that it brings to be on the stage together. Fortnite, yet to be seen. We've seen tournaments where it's like charity events and stuff, like you said. I've seen like PUBG do it at I forget which, if it was like South by Southwest or something, or some
like
other
the
gathering.
PAXs.
Yeah, PAX I think had one of those games for charity, and yes, it's cool, but at the same time, like I don't know, there's just so many questions. They're so new to the scene as far as attempting to be an esport that I think they have a ton of potential. I'm overall like, this is awesome. The more exposure to the scene esports gets, the more esports normalizes and gains a larger market share.
And I mean, the one thing I'm looking at on my computer is the thing I was thinking about was the logistics of everything, where it's like, who are you going to have, let's say, 100-person arena with 100 players? Is each player going to have a camera on them, and when do you show them?
Yeah.
And like right now, I was just looking at stuff from like one being the E-League for CSGO, the other being Overwatch League. And part of me is like, you know what? When they actually show the game footage, they don't show the player. They just show the game. And I mean, maybe that to me now is less of an issue than I thought it was in the first place, because then it's like, all right, we can go to certain players if we get a reaction out of them. If they die and they don't have a reaction, why would we cut to them?
Right, and that's
kind
the
of
thing.
thing.
Like, you could have a bunch of post stuff. Like, after the match is over, you can watch through the highlights of the match and see players react, flip their shit.
But let's be honest, too, like, logistic cost-wise, like, having cameras on 100, like, and I'm not saying it's impossible for that to happen.
But trying to get all of those players together, that's the thing. There's no way you'd be able to get them consistently.
Like, from a tech standpoint, like, I'm looking at the shot right now, and, like, you see one of the tech people standing behind with, like, the microphone and stuff. Is a nightmare. I wouldn't want that job.
No.
I would not want the job making sure that everything is going smooth for the cameras, the headsets, well, maybe they wouldn't need headsets because they're solo. Why
Unless they do squad-based.
The squad is different, but I'm talking just the 100 solo right now. But, like, I would not want to make sure everything is working for 100 people with latency, computers, cameras, all that.
It's a lot to manage. I think they'll do it. I think they're going to do it for, like, big events. I don't think if it becomes a regular league, I think they do, like, a season breakup.
Yeah.
Where it's like you qualify to be one of the 100 in this season. And that could drive, like, the qualifying tournaments would be huge.
Or
the
you
season
qualify
games.
to be the top 50, and they do a 50. Like, that's the big thing for me.
Why
is
50?
To just have it logistically where it's less, it's more manageable. But
nah, fuck that. This is Fortnite. We do 100.
Exactly. Now you're on the other side of, if they go less than 100, is that Fortnite?
No. They do all 100. It's not even a concern. Like, they're just going to do it. And I think they could have a qualifying like bracket thing, which draws millions of people to watch that. And then once they have that, they have their locked in 100 for say like a 3-month span, and they'll play like maybe it's 4 games a week, maybe it's 5 games, something in that group, and that way you can have them play out over a season. You start telling stories about, well, this guy did really bad this week. Can he come back? Can he take control again? Or this person's been leading the scene the whole time. Is there a chance they're gonna drop off? Like, it builds that, and then you have like your cap of the season, and then you can have another qualifier for like you can cut the bottom X percentage of those players and say, you're in the requalifying tournament now. Like, incentivize more players. To maybe you just say everybody but the top X,
I would like.
There's so much potential.
I would like to see it happen. I just don't know how it would logistically happen. Like, that is where I'm at.
Epic's going to have to invest a lot of money, or they're going to have to be open for a lot of sponsorships.
A lot of money and time.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to need for this. And, like, if they can make it work, all it's going to do is bring in more cheddar.
And that's the thing. Like, do you think it needs to be successful? Do you think Fortnite? No. Doesn't need to be successful as an esport.
They've already made $1 billion in a year.
Right. And
they, like, I don't think it needs to be competitive.
But is it flash in the pan, or is this something that we're still talking about in a decade?
It's interesting you bring that up, because I want to bring something into that discussion. But before I bring that in, I'll say this. With Fortnite, I don't think it has to be competitive. Because, like I said, they've already made $1 billion in a year. Well, more than $1 billion in a year.
Big whoop.
And I wonder if this game, is it bad if it's not a competitive game?
No.
I say no, because it's, to me, the best thing right now is it's a perfect streaming game. Especially when you get someone like Ninja, who is both the perfect combination of, yes, he's entertaining, also, he's really good at the game. Like, that was something that I was watching him on the H3 podcast. And Ethan asked him, hey, you know what? Do you have to be good at a game? And he kind of was like, yes and no. But, like, you could tell his for sure answer was, yeah, you kind of have to be good at the game. Why would I come in to watch you if you're bad at the game, unless you have, like, an amazing personality and you make it funny for me to stay there and invest my time in that? But the thing that I think is interesting is, right now, the question I'll ask you to kind of flip it is, first off, the end of this battleground could be coming as more people get in. Do you think that, first off, part A, part B question. Part A, is there no more room for anyone else because of PUBG and Fortnite already? And part B to that question, once we see the bigger names like Call of Duty, Battlefield enter this realm, will people start to be like, Another Battleground game, and they just get turned off from the Battleground genre in general.
No, I think what we're seeing is cyclical. We saw it happen with MOBAs in like 2010, and then a little bit forward as it continued to succeed.
Ooh, that can make us money.
Yeah. And everybody jumped on it. And as you like to say, what's your favorite saying? Cream rising to the top?
The cream always rises to the top.
There we go. There we go. We need that on like an audio board. I need to just pop that on.
My very bad Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes. That's what it is.
Miss Elizabeth.
We're still talking about games like Here's a Storm.
Yeah.
And
well, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that name in a while.
I watch and play the game constantly. It's still a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And then there's still new content. They're doing a great job. But no, you're still talking
basically anything Blizzard is kind of good.
Yeah, but League of Legends, Dota 2,
yeah.
You've got the core of the games that rose to the top and continue to innovate and continue to improve. Yeah. And all the other pretenders died off. You don't see any of those garbage games like Paladins and all that. Overwatch.
You read my mind, Dave, because you said pretenders and I thought Paladins.
That's the same thing, and that's what I'm saying is
or like Battleborn.
Battleborn, good idea, half baked, didn't release at the right time. You know, and that's the thing.
We'll go head on head with Overwatch. Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So no, I'm thinking competition is great because competition breeds success. Like you only innovate when you're challenged for your role. If you don't innovate, you become stagnant, you become bored, you become complacent. So no, I think that the additions of games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and all of these games where we're talking these massive multiplayer conflicts, like that's going to be great because that's going to ask everyone, they have to raise their level. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind.
Call of Duty and Battlefield are not going to see the same success that Fortnite is
not
getting.
Not game mode. No, people are still going to be team deathmatch faves.
You want to know why?
Why?
Not even because of what you said. No, not because of that either.
That's pretty unique.
Like it's gonna be different because like I was listening to this one podcast and the guy was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna get the weapon modifications and it's gonna bring COD to the Battleground genre. It's gonna be cool for COD fans." But the reason why it will not make as much money as Fortnite is because of what we're seeing right now between PUBG and Fortnite. One you had to pay for, the other one you didn't. Like COD Battlefield, you have to pay for that. It's going to be less people because of that buying that game.
Loot boxes.
Okay, we'll add loot boxes to everything. But I mean, like...
the devil, pretty much.
When you have your game accessible to everybody for download... I think that's part of the reason why Fortnite has hit $1 billion.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but it's a fun game to play, and it's addicting.
Yeah, it is. And that's pretty much our thoughts on Fortnite competitive gaming. Will it succeed? I think we both think it has a good chance to.
I'm skeptical, but I hope.
Yeah, given the right support structure, I think it will be. But they're going to have to invest a lot.
I'm not ready to say yes. I'm not ready to say no.
Not staunch in or out. But let us know what you guys think. So Madden, right? They got this game mode that pretty much everyone shit on last year. To be fair,
coming in, people shit on it. I think coming out of it, people were happy with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I heard very mixed reviews out of it.
I mean, I'm not saying 100% of people liked it, but like, I'll be honest, I was one of the few that was like, story mode coming to Madden. Really? A story? Like, there were non-sports people that were like, really? A non-sport, like a sports game getting a story mode? I was in the same camp of like, really? Do I want this? Is this going to be... Because my first, like, Vietnam flashbacks were, like, when 2K tried to do it, and it was like, you're going to go through this guy's story, and you're going to be drafted by blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, I made it halfway through, and I was like, this is stupid, and shut it off. I mean, like, that was my fear.
2K17, 18. I did the story mode there, and that was terrible.
It was like I'm playing for. All I remember is I'm playing for the Longhorns, and it's like you'd play, and it'd be like, all right, so this is if I want to play, and if I want to play NCAA basketball, play the story mode.
Yeah.
That's basically what I was doing. I was like, screw this, I want to play franchise.
But on the football side, you think that Madden actually did a fairly respectable job last year.
It was interesting because like the story wasn't like, yeah, it was a built-in story that you're following, but the thing I thought was most interesting about it was the gameplay mechanics of like some of it was very much of, all right, I hike the ball, he drops back. You're not necessarily playing Madden in that little situation of like, oh, I drop back, throw. it's like you see it cinematic style, and it's almost Telltale-like. It's like, all right, where you go? Receiver over the middle plus triangle. Your guy, Cruz, he's going long. And it's like they give you the option and kind of like the time limit to pick. And like that was interesting. More of that
kind of like Heavy
Telltale
Rain.
style. Kind of, yeah.
Oh, that was such a good game.
And the thing that's interesting is, yes, they're like, so apparently EA's like, yeah, we're going to have it in Madden 19. And I'm looking at Kotaku for this.
Yep.
Jason Schreier had it. And the first comment was like, is this just an enhanced version of last year's story? Or is this like the second chapter that follows them in the NFL? And Schreier says, here's the exact wording from EA. Fans can also look forward to the continuation of last year's first ever Madden NFL story mode with the return of Longshot Homecoming. Players will have more control over Devin Wade and Colt Cruz's football quests with more NFL gameplay, more ways to impact the story, new storylines, and the ability to continue their Longshot journey within franchise and Ultimate Team. Here's the first thing I think of. Are they going to Mass Effect it?
What do you mean? Just describe Mass Effect.
So with like Mass Effect, they have like, I play game 1, the choices I made in game 1 carry with me to game 2. I play game 2, the choices that I made carry with me into game 3. Because Longshot, you had 3 endings.
Yeah.
You got drafted and Colt didn't. Colt got drafted and you signed with whatever team he went to. And then, all right, I went undrafted. Instead of going to Colt, I'm going to go to my favorite team.
Right.
Those were the 3 endings. So is it going to be like Mass Effect? Like, what would you think of that if they basically, like, is it going to be, it's going to pick up wherever your story mode left off?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay, but it's weird because it's like, where do they go from there? So say I'm just going to go in and say, yes, I think it will pick up right from where it left off.
And you can pick any ending to use as your example.
When you start up the game, you pick Longshot mode, you'll be like, do you want to continue on your solo journey? Do you want to continue our journey on Colt's team? Or do you want to do this? And like that'll be kind of the option breakdown maybe. And
so it doesn't even matter on your saved data. It's just here's the 3 choices.
I don't think it's going to go off of that.
Pick your ending.
I honestly don't think it's going to go off of that. But what I do hope it does is let you go through and like maybe it makes you, if you pick the one where you like walked on to a team, like you get to have a little bit of struggle in like training camp. You get to do a little bit like that's the thing. I don't necessarily want to be handed, starting quarterback over one of my favorite starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Like
let's say your favorite team is the Patriots.
Right.
You're not going to win the starting job over Tom Brady.
Right. Like I know Sean Anderson, our boy here.
Yeah.
He would not. He'd be like, no, I'm cool being back up. I'll just watch the go play.
Well, like me, I'd walk on to the Vikings. I ain't beating Kirk Cousins for that job.
I think
after that contract that they gave him, there's no way they give me the job.
I think you could. I got faith in you. You got the arm. Got the arm, kid. But no, I think that having them kind of play through that, it forces you to play through like not like a whole training camp, not like the whole thing, but like give me like a couple of situations from training camp. Give me a couple of like live practice things, like where you have to like earn it through the season, and like you can see your guy progress. Like that's what we want. We want to have like year 1, maybe you don't play a lot, and then maybe at like week 14 or something, your quarterback gets injured. Like it just is one of like the story points is like he goes down.
Your starter is injured,
and now your team is 7-7.
And like, Devin Wade come into
the game. Like what are you gonna? How do you do? Are you gonna take your team to the playoffs? Are you gonna choke? Like they could do so much because the great thing about football is we've seen so many great storylines over the years that they can just pluck from decades of amazing stories, of amazing situations, or they can come up with their own original. Like there's so much leeway. They got so much material. So I'm hoping they don't fuck this up.
Well, and another thing that this is,
and I'm reading. I don't even know if this is even going to be close to what they have.
And this is the obvious thing that I'm thinking about. Yeah. The first obvious thing I thought about is so with 2 of the 3 endings, no matter which one you pick, we'll go your route where you get to pick it. If you pick option 1 or option 3, you're on a different team than Cruz. If you pick option 2, you're on the same team as Cruz. I feel like, to me, option 2 would be the least boring unless they add in some drama between you and Cruz being on the same team because he's a wide receiver, you're a quarterback.
Right.
But the first thing I can think of is let's just say the option of Wade goes undrafted, signs with his favorite team. Cruz gets drafted by the team that he got drafted by. If they just put it into the story mode that no matter what team you pick, your team plays Cruz during the season.
Yeah.
And it like adds some like I don't know if it would be lame or not. It would depend on how they do the story, but like that kind of little battle where it's like, oh, I'm playing my best friend on the other side. Maybe it doesn't have the same impact if like Cruz was a defensive player. Right. Because then you'd playing V1
you got
on
the battle,
one.
yeah.
But I mean, I wonder if they'll throw that into it as well.
But I mean, like you got to rekindle that, like the bromance there, for lack of a better word, because like this is a year removed now. You feel like I know it's you're picking up from their storyline. We don't know exactly what that means quite yet. We're still a couple weeks away from release, and this just came out, so we'll see what actually is what the scenario will be. But I think that they need to, if you do go separate teams, they need to bring some sort of level of like, what's their relationship like? Are they feuding? Are they like, my team's better than yours? Are you fighting them for playoffs? Are you what? And
that's just exactly this. And if you haven't played Longshot, you plan on still playing it. Spoilers. I'm just gonna read, for example.
You spoiled it off the bat, but whatever.
I'm gonna read in depth the just paragraph about ending one. So this is the one where Wade gets drafted, Colt doesn't. And what the article I'm looking at says, this Madden 18 ending is great if throughout your Longshot experience you developed into a Devin Wade fan, but is kind of depressing if you liked his good buddy Colt Cruz. Devin Wade gets drafted with the 7th round by whatever team you mentioned was your favorite earlier in the story. In order to get this ending, you need to have a high football IQ and performance grade. I'm just going to go through the other two since there's only 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the second one, Wade goes undrafted, Cruz gets drafted, and you sign with Cruz's team. So in this Madden ending, if you screw around a bit too much for Madden 18 Longshot's liking, your performance and football IQ grades won't be where they need to be, and you'll end up getting undrafted. In order to end up on this route, make decisions based on your heart and help Cruz out as much as possible whenever he asks. You'll boost his draft stock, but lower your own, unfortunately for you. In the last challenge, make sure to go for the impossible throw to Cruz long. Cruz will get the call, or will get the call before you, and he'll be signed to an NFL team, a team in your favorite team's division, making for a pretty awkward scenario in the Cruz household. So I mean, that's like one thing I do remember is like for the combine, there was like a choice of go back and study the playbook or like go hang out with Cruz or something, and you like miss an interview or something. Like that's the main choice between it. And then the last one, this ending is similar to the one just before. You screw around too much, and now Wade is sitting around on draft day, unloved and no team to call home. The same thing will happen as the previous ending. You'll get a call later on in the day from your agent. This time, instead of choosing to play with Cruz on his team, take the offer for your favorite team. So it looked like in both of them, you're definitely going to play Cruz.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be playing on a team in your division, which makes sense because then you can for sure, like, you don't have to finagle a schedule or anything. It's like, oh, you play this team twice. Yeah. It's for sure we're going to have you guys feud because you're on opposite teams. Yeah. No, the awkward one is if you guys are on the same team, because then it's the team that's not your favorite team and you got to play your favorite team.
Right. What do? Are you a drama queen and you demand trades? I mean,
I don't know if that story is going to be interesting. Like, I look at it right now and go, who cares? I'm playing my favorite team. Like, as long as I'm in the NFL, I'm happy. The thing that gets me going is having a feud between Wade and Cruz because they're the two main people of this story.
Do you think Madden did enough the first time through with Longshot that people are going to be interested in buying Madden
just for the story?
This gen Madden. Just for the story?
No, I don't think people buy it just for the story. I think that the story mode is exactly what it was last time. I'm buying Madden because
Is it like an 8-hour time sink or so to get through the story, or not even that?
I don't remember how much time it took to get through the story.
Okay.
But I mean, either or, like, this isn't a game where you're buying it for the story. You're either A, buying it because you're a Madden hardcore fan and you'll always buy a Madden no matter what because you're going to play Madden.
Gotta have new imaginary numbers and names on the backs.
Exactly. B, you're a franchise guy and just love to play that franchise with the new roster. C, you're a MUT guy and just want to play Ultimate Team the whole time. And no matter which one of three you fall into, the story mode will be like, I need a break from what I'm doing. Or I'll go play Longshot.
I say the online
I don't think people are going to drop
$60
to play Longshot.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to have a fully fledged out like that. But I was just curious if you felt they had done enough in the past to warrant people like this is enough to like where I'm like I could give her like. Men, leave it or take it. I don't really care, but like I really enjoyed playing that game mode, so maybe I'll give it a shot.
It wasn't bad it wasn't bad enough to be like, oh wow, this sucked, but it wasn't anything like substantial in my mind. Like it wasn't like now I'm thinking back, now that you said 8 hours. I think it was like 4 hours. That's what I think. Because I know Mark was the first one to play it all the way through, and I remember him saying, "I'm like,
well, if only Mark Webber had shown up to work
was
today.
here, he would have been able to contribute because he was the first one to beat it." But I mean, I remember him saying, "Yeah, it took me like not even a full night," and I was like, "Oh," like my first thought was, "Oh." I thought it was going to be more than that.
Yeah.
Like, I expected a story mode. But mainly, that's because I expect story games to be like hours on hours on hours on hours.
Yeah, not everything can be that good. But that is Madden. That is this year's Longshot.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. He's cursed, not cursed.
Yeah, he's cursed. They're all cursed in some way or another.
Who was last year's?
Tom Brady.
And
he won a Super Bowl. Well, he lost in the Super Bowl. That's his curse.
I mean, it's the Tom Brady. He's not. He
didn't get injured, but he lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he didn't get injured. So.
Sorry, Sean, who's not listening to this because it's about gaming, and Sean don't care about.
We can
gaming.
take cheap shots at Sean during
We can't all the time, and he won't listen.
Wonderful. And let's wrap things up by talking about something that kind of caught me off guard. But once I started thinking about it, it's starting to question some things about it. It's video game reviewers who are doing reviews of these games, but they haven't even finished the game.
Yeah.
They're reviewing a partial game, but they're playing it off as it's a full game review.
And I mean, I brought this up kind of just like hey, maybe this could be something we talk about at the end of the podcast, much like last week we did the whole LAN party discussion, which you got to check out episode 3 for that. That was a great discussion because Mark was here for that one. If you notice, Mark's not here. Going to mention that throughout the entire podcast. But yeah, this was something I was listening to, just one of the numerous podcasts I listened to, and they had a fan write in basically say that his whole synopsis of it is, how could you review a game and not finish all the way through? Because they were talking about Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting because they really
sold out.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So they widely underestimated the amount of people who want to play this game. So they sold out, and now they're going on back orders, and we'll see. It looks like it's going to be a very successful selling continually.
And the thing that he was saying, the guy who wrote into the podcast, was basically saying, these reviewers haven't even gotten to the end and faced the final boss.
Right.
And he compared it to like a movie where, like, for example, Johnny and I go and review a movie.
Yeah.
It would be like if we went to like 50% of the movie, walked out, and then reviewed the movie. Like,
is that the same? I mean, yes, we're reviewing content.
No, I don't think it's the same. And the only reason why I don't think it's the same is because there's different aspects to this.
All right.
I'm very in the middle of this, where there's aspects of where it's like, yeah, you kind of need to play the whole game if it's a story-based game. If I'm reviewing the story, a part of my review, you got to play it the whole way through because you got to get the whole story.
Yeah.
But if it's either a game that doesn't have a story, if I'm not really reviewing the story part of it, then after a while I play the game. If it's pretty much the same gameplay all the way through.
For example, if you're playing Madden.
Exactly. I don't need to play the game all the way through.
What is all the way through in Madden?
Exactly.
Do you win a championship?
I don't have to go through a franchise and be like, man, I'm 16 seasons deep into this franchise.
The year's 2048.
Exactly. Or like
Tom Brady's still playing quarterback.
Or like a Fortnite game where it's like, all right, play a couple games, get the gameplay mechanics down of it. Or like an Overwatch where it's like, I don't really need to know the story of Overwatch to review Overwatch.
Yeah, but if you are interested in the story, it does help.
It's an extra content.
It's a bonus tacked on. But I do tend to agree with you as far as you can't compare. It's apples and oranges comparing movies to video game reviews, because movies are it's a full story being told in front of you. A video game, there could be multiple story arcs, but you're also reviewing the gameplay. You're also reviewing the art in the game. You're also reviewing, the character decisions. There's so many things you can break. The
music.
Yeah. Oh my God, the music's critical. There's so many ways you can break apart a video game review, and it's not just, I played it, this is how it plays, thumbs up, like God of War. Like, I don't think you can really say God of War, like this past one that came out. I don't feel comfortable taking a review from someone who didn't finish the game. Yeah. Because I know everyone loved playing that game. I know the gameplay was fantastic. I know the visuals were great. The story was great. Everything was so overwhelmingly positive throughout. And that's what I want to hear. But when I'm getting, I think it hurts more when it's a bad review, right? Would you say that, like, I've seen people, and to be fair, I did just say, like, I like people who gave me the full review of God of War, but I know people did do reviews after, like, hey, I played for 4 hours, here's my initial thoughts kind of thing. But when it's a negative review and they haven't completed the game, do you think that is more critical? Or do you think they're doing themselves a disservice?
Depends on the game, because, I mean, really, like, if you're it depends on what you're critical about. Yeah. If you're critical about the gameplay or like a gameplay mechanic, then no, I don't think it's critical. But if you're critiquing and being critical about something in the story, you better finish that all the way through. Because what if there's a twist at the end that makes you go, "Oh, now I get it. I've hated this the whole way through, but there's this twist thing at the end that now it makes sense, and everything is clear."
Yeah, they could M Night it,
But then on the other side, because I don't know if someone's brought this up already, I'll throw it out there. Sure. What about Cuphead?
What about Cuphead?
A game like Cuphead, where
a game
it's
not
like,
meant to be beaten.
Not many people have beaten it. Where if you've beaten it, basically it's badge of honor. I beat Cuphead. Like that's true. What you're going through. Like if I beat Cuphead, every single podcast I'd be like, "Hey Dave, you know what I did? I beat Cuphead." Like every podcast I would let you know about it. That's another thing into it. If the game's if the game is unbeatable, like a review of Cuphead, are you gonna bash someone for reviewing that game not getting to the end? Because of how hard it is?
Even Dark Souls.
Yeah,
like the Dark Souls franchise, Bloodborne, etc. Like that genre of games, the whole point is to make it difficult to beat it. So getting a review from someone, I feel like getting a review from someone who didn't beat that game, I'd be like, well, are you just a quitter or are you shitty at video games? And then I go play it and I'm like, oh shit, no, it's just legit tough.
It's legit just hard.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna flip it back to the other half where it's our favorite game series in Five Nights at Freddy's. Not really. We just enjoy talking about.
I love watching.
People play.
Markiplier and MatPat are the ones I love watching.
But that's a series where the reviews turn into more about the story. Like it starts off as gameplay is good. I got this functionality.
But then there's so much lore.
But then the story.
So much lore.
And that's what I wonder is like, I think you can get away with giving, like my kind of takeaway is, I think I'm okay with people giving reviews of partial games depending on the genre of the game. Yeah. Like, I don't care if you don't beat Madden or if you don't have 50 hours logged in that game. Look, if you play Madden and you want to complain about the graphics or the defensive IQ, like the defensive AI shit out there, or whatever they've tweaked this year to try to, convince themselves it's worth another $60 out of your pocket, sure, give me that feedback. But if we're talking about like Kingdom Hearts 3 on release and I see a video up about Kingdom Hearts 3 review within the first 10 hours, I'm going to be like, nope. This person's ridiculous. Like, there's no way you can review that game in 10 hours because there's so much to that universe. Like, same with Borderlands. You couldn't it's just a slap in the face. It's, why are you calling me stupid? Well, why do you think I want to hear this?
That's why to most story reviews, for me, it comes down to there better be two parts of your review.
Okay. That's a fair argument.
The first part, like if you broke it up into parts, or basically Borderlands, I'll say. The first part you have it where, okay, this is just a base review.
Gameplay.
Not really looking at the story. Gameplay, what you could see, how do you interact with the world. Because there's a part to it also where if you're going to review the story, you have to go, all right, there are spoilers for this. It kind of makes me think of, if I'm going to review a story, are the only people that are coming for this review people that have finished the game also and just want to know what I thought of it?
Well,
what
that's
someone
true. You
else
gotta go
might have
audience.
thought. Because, like, I think about it, bringing back the movie review.
You get it before.
Exactly.
And
I'm not,
after.
I'm not gonna watch a spoiler review of something before I've seen it.
It's funny
because it's gonna give it away.
I watch Movie Bob religiously.
Exactly. But I mean, I'm not. Like, I'm not one of those people. I want to go in blind.
I want to go into that movie knowing what Bob thinks, not because I follow him blindly, because I'm genuinely interested on what his take is and how he got there.
And you want to think about that through the movie.
I want to know how he got there. For me, it's about the journey of where did your thoughts build up to hit that point.
But also, like, during the movie, you can say, oh, that's what he thought. I disagree with that.
Exactly.
I do agree with that.
I can see where he came to that point, or like, how did you read into that situation? Like, I think for me, it adds another layer to it.
Whereas I'm a guy, I like watching it after I've already digested things and developed my own opinion.
There are a few movies where I was a purist about that, where I was like, I don't want to watch this going in. Like Power Rangers.
Because of what he said.
Look, Power Rangers, I didn't want to watch his thing going in.
And then you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Because I wanted to go ahead, and it was 100% nostalgia. And that movie could have sucked so much, and I don't care. Because it was Power Rangers. And that was childhood for me. And then we went, and remember, we got back in the car.
Except for Goldar.
Oh my God. First thing we do, we get back in the car, bust out the iPhone, put it up, and let's watch Movie Bob. Like, it was a default move at the time. So I think with movies, it's a unique perspective because people want to know what the movie is. The movie worth my time to watch?
Exactly.
Rather than with a video game, they've got is this worth playing? Maybe a quick review where it's like gameplay is good, it's solid, but I'll get back to you with part 2 later, and then like a week down the line, because there is such a time window. Like, if you put out a game review of Madden 17 now, no one's gonna care. It's not. It's old news. But if you put out a review, even like Uncharted, like no one cares. Like a month after the game's been out is your cap. You don't have much for a lot of games. And for other ones, it's longer. But for like a lot of games where it's a single release, and you got that hot window. And
I'll be honest, and this is not like, ooh, Ricky's in the industry and he knows what's going on. But like for me, I don't really check out many game reviews. And the reason why I don't is because, like, for a game we talked about earlier, Fortnite. Are you going to check, like, for a game like that, are you going to check out a review that, like, IGN did? Or are you just going to say, you know what? I'll just go to Twitch and watch the game.
That's true.
Nowadays, you can just go, I'll watch the game and see if it's worth my time.
Twitch is a game changer for video game reviews. But at the same time,
like, you're not
content
getting
creators
someone
are
that's
no longer
reviewing it, but, like, you can watch the game,
experience
see the game. Yeah.
Right. No, and that's true. I think Twitch offers a different perspective than a video game review. It gives you that live gameplay, which you can't get elsewhere. Like, you can get a little bit of it on YouTube, but it's not the same, you know? It's live gameplay plus interactivity of a personality on Twitch. So when I'm watching Matt Pat play something, when I'm watching Markiplier play something, it's different than watching one of their videos when they're playing, you know?
And the thing that kind of influences that too is, like, I've only, like, going back to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Sure.
The only parts I've played of it, and it's still on the channel, have not taken it down to this day.
I'm surprised.
Are like 3 nights of the number 3 game, the one with Springtrap, I believe it was. And the thing that I noticed was that first time I played the first night, the main part of it was just that kind of aura of, like, I think I'm scaring myself here too much. Yeah. And then that, like, jump scare of, like, oh shit. But, like, night 2, night 3, I noticed as I was editing the video, like, oh, this wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And I'm like, no shit. I've been watching these other people play the game to where I've picked up what they're doing.
Exactly.
I've basically watched the film and know what to do, how to manage things. Like, I'm not saying I'm the king of Five Nights at Freddy's like Markiplier did. I am very far from it. But it's like, all right, I know what to do. I know what to check. I know what to do here because I've watched someone play it. If you just go to a review, it's just you're getting the base facts and not necessarily all the tricks to how to play a game.
No, it's super true. I think that, honestly, it's weird because I start off a staunch like, nope, it's stupid to do this thing. Like, why would people put out these half-assed reviews when they haven't finished the content? But now I think over these last 15 minutes, like I've kind of started to change my mind on this.
It depends on the game, too.
It depends so heavily on the game.
Like a game like Just Dawn, like that's a game where I would kind of want a story review for that because that is a game, or the Telltale games are built on the story. Like without the story in those games, it's not a game.
Exactly.
Like a Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Without the story, there's no game.
Right.
Like the gameplay is very minimal.
Yeah.
There's not much to say like, oh, this is intricacies of the game and this is what it is. It's
Meanwhile, for an upcoming game that we're going to be thrilled to talk about with Spider-Man, I don't care what the fuck the story is. I'm a swang from building to building.
You're gonna swang?
I'm a swing from building to building. I can't talk. It's late at night. It's late at night. I want to go to sleep.
Swang.
Hashtag swang. I'm gonna swing from building to building and do that for like an hour. And I'll be smiling ear to ear. I don't even care.
See,
like the combat looks amazing. Buildings look amazing.
They put out that just the like visuals. Gameplay, that 6 minutes at E3.
I don't care what the story is.
I love the story. I can't wait. I
don't even need it. That's what I'm saying. It's
Dave
like,
wants to swing, run on walls.
I want to just fight stuff. I want to swing around. Like, story's a bonus at this point for me. That's honestly what I'm looking at.
Just wait until that Rocksteady Superman game drops.
Ugh.
That's going to be hype levels too, if it's good. Hopefully it's good.
I'm sorry.
Hopefully
you say Superman video game, and I go back to Superman 64, and I go to
through the rings.
The game that shouldn't exist.
If you like it, put a ring on it, Dave. That's what they did.
That's what they did. It was a precursor.
Before Beyonce.
It was a precursor to Beyonce. There we go. So, Ricky, what do you think? Do you think it's subjective to the game? Do you think that it's just a bad practice?
I'm gonna say subjective to the game, thinking that I know what you're talking about, where it depends on the game.
Yeah.
It depends on it. Where it's like, if it's a game like Fortnite, no. Obviously, it doesn't have a story. But if it's a game like Just Dawn or Detroit Become Human, I need a story review. You need to play it all the way through.
And to be fair, I know we mentioned a little bit at the beginning, this all started because of Octopath, one of the hottest games right now for the Nintendo Switch. It is an amazing RPG. Everybody is giving positive reviews. For the most part, sold out, like Ricky said early on. But some questionable reviews where people are being called out, obviously.
Yeah, and the thing that we didn't mention that I'll mention now here right at the end is the tricky thing is for like the actual reviewers who like work for IGN and stuff. Yeah, they get like the
early edition.
But depending on how much of the game, like how long it takes to get through that story too, they've got deadlines to meet as well. They've got to get that review doesn't come out like they have embargoes and stuff to where they can't drop the review until this date. They want to drop it before the game comes out to get views. So there's that too of like, can I get through this entire game before my review is due?
Like with a game like this, there's so much content in it beyond just getting to the last boss and beating it.
So should they get the game sooner then?
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's like a review for The Last Zelda. Like, that's a game with 100 hours of gameplay in it. Like, because there's just so much stuff you can do.
Especially
like,
after the story.
You can beat the story fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to that game than that.
Collecting all the collectibles to open up this and
You know, like, for games like that, I truly feel like the review is never going to give you the full picture unless you have something, and by that time nobody cares. I'll be honest, like nobody's going to go watch a full in-depth Zelda review at this point. Like I'd be interested if I never got to play the game. If I was someone without a Switch, which I am, I'm just saying, I'm tossing out there.
I am Black Friday getting it. I've already targeted a Black Friday Switch.
Nice.
Because December 2nd Smash Bros Ultimate is coming out and I'm getting it.
All right.
It is going to happen.
Well,
I'm going to lose my life to that game.
You say that now. We'll see. We'll see. But
Dave's
you know what?
We'll see, Battle of Azeroth.
It will be on the show. We will talk it on Too Old to Game. I was talking about you and your Switch.
Oh, that too.
But Battle for Azeroth next week
without Mark.
Without Mark again.
He's gonna be gone. I think he's got a real reason. Like he told me this like a month ago. But like, he's slacker, man. Like I'm telling you, him and Brandon are pulling Brock Lesnar's.
Ooh.
They just don't want to be here.
But does that mean when they come back,
Paul Heyman's gonna be here? Yeah.
My name is Paul.
We know who you are, Paul.
But yeah, that'll do it. Again, in closing, if you loved our show, let us know. Give us the support on YouTube. You can sub, you can comment. We read everything on there. iTunes 5-star us if you liked us. If not, tell us about it.
We're a little obsessive with those comments.
We might take things a little too seriously at times.
It's funny. I know for the fast break, like there'd be times where originally I'd have to tell you comments. Now it's like I go to you're like, yeah, I know. I've read it.
I might have a live feed going at all times. But again, if you want to be on our show, $10 a month on Patreon, you can jump on, be our first guest on Too Old to Game. Otherwise, if you want to be on one of our other shows, you can join us on the Fast Break like Ziani is doing as we record this. Ziani will be tomorrow. It's going to be
live today.
Yeah. Oh, God. So it's going up the same day. Cool. That'd be awesome. But yeah, no. If you want to support us that way, we appreciate it. But at any level, Patreon, sub, 5-star on iTunes, any of that, we appreciate the love. And if you want to continue the conversation in the comments below, we'll be there with you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.